Morecambe are no longer EFL. Their 18-year stay in the fourth tier of English football has come to a conclusion. That's right, they are down and out, but who will join them? We'll tell you all about it next. That's right, folks, back once again with another prediction video today. It's all about match number 45, that's right, in the League 2, and we'll get to that in a second. Of course, if you knew where you've been, smash your subscribe button. What's up, shop for Blackburn Rovers, League 2, Wolf Football. We're going to all hear under one Rooski. We're still none the wiser as to who's going up from League 2 to League 1. But of course, we've got 6 points left on the horizon and 3 available this coming weekend. What am I talking about? Well, I'll tell you in a second. Of course, if you know where you've been, hit the old subscribe and a big shout out to the members and the patrons. You know who you are. So anyway, let's showcase you what's going on right here, right now, courtesy of the Easter Monday results. So these are those, and they're on the screen right about now. Walsall continue to do their thing. Shit in the bed, 0-0 draw against Newport County. I went with a 2-1 win for Newport County myself. Meanwhile, Stanley and Carlisle 1-1 to keep Carlisle's faint hopes of EFL football on the cards, but of course it's not looking good for them at the moment. Barrow and Tranmere also 0-0 to keep them as they were at the foot. Meanwhile, Crewe losing to MK Dons, Paul Warren back in the hot seat, and of course back with a win. Of course, Doncaster with a 3-0 win over Colchester, who are shit in the bed at the moment as of playoff talks. Doncaster though top the charts right now. Chesterfield against Bradford end up in a 6-goal thriller, 3-3 in the end. The Gills made it another win under Gareth Ainsworth. 1-0 win over Wimbledon. Too little too late though, you would imagine, for the Gills this season. Salford with a 3-1 win over Morecambe to send Derek Adams down. I think, didn't he once manage Salford? I think pretty much everyone's managed Salford. But anyway, what's their hopes and dreams of getting into top 6? I think it's still got a chance. We shall see though. Harrogate Town with a 3-1 win over Fleetwood. Cheltenham with a 2-1 away win to Notts County, who are still in that top 7 discussion. Port Vale 2, Grimsby 2 would have come back in that game, I think. And then Swindon did lose to Bromley to dent their end of the season campaign. So a big couple points on the horizon this past Easter weekend over the past 4 days. But this is what the table looks like. It is Doncaster leading the charge, 78 points right now. Port Vale are second, 77, and Bradford are third with 75. So mathematically, a win for Doncaster this weekend will do it. They will get promoted, and it won't guarantee them the title, but it could. If everything else goes against them, goes with them, they could become champions as well. But it looks like Doncaster are in the driving seat. They are, 4 points clear with 6 on the table. Walsall, who forever led the league and now in those playoff spots, they're guaranteed, I think, a playoff spot with 7 points, the difference between themselves and 7th place Grimsby. The only question mark is who will actually join Walsall in the playoffs. Of course, with Colchester still could make as high as 5th. Salford could still as well get as high as 5th as well. Chesterfield still got outside aspirations, but I think the buck stops just about there. And in fact, Crewe and Bromley still have an outside sniff as well, depending on it. But realistically, it doesn't look like that. So maybe 10th place Chesterfield and up have a chance of making it into the playoffs. Going down though, it is going to be Tranmere or Carlisle will join Morecambe. And again, you could include Accrington, Stanley in that, but I think their goal difference is just too much. Keep on doing your thing with the Prediction League. I'll bring you back up to date when we come to the playoffs, whenever that is. But until then, let's rock on, Tommy, and have a look at the next round of games. Kick it all off with a trip to Plough Lane. It's coming to this coming Saturday, the 26th of April. That's right. Wimbledon on Johnny Jackson are 5th right now, 70 points for the season. They look like they could be going to playoffs, but they are actually coming into this with pretty woeful form. Just 1 win in the last 6 up against Port Vale under Darren Moore, who sits second. Back-to-back games now without a win for them. Coming at you, they played 7 times, these two clubs, since 2011. 3 wins apiece and 1 draw. Last time around, over at Wimbledon, it was a 4-0 win for Wimbledon back in December. That was December 2016, goodness gracious me. The last time that they played, of course, this season was at Port Vale back in October. It was a 3-2 win for Port Vale back in the day. Vale, though, on the back of that 2-2 draw against Grimsby, most recently Wimbledon losing to Gillingham 1-0 as well. Back-to-back games without a goal for the Dons. Coming at you, though, and the bookies' odds on this one, I'll give it to Wimbledon. They are favoured for the victory. I've gone with a 2-1 win as well to Wimbledon. Really put Darren Moore's boys under a bit of pressure heading into the final game of the season. Meanwhile, Doncaster could just about seal it. Taking on Bradford City at the Keep Moat. Doncaster under Grant McCann are top of the pops right now. They're unbeaten in at least the last 6, winning 3 of the last 5. Up against Bradford under Graham Alexandra, who are 3rd, 75 points for the season. They cannot do this again, can they? They are desperate. I am desperate to see Bradford get promoted once again, but they've only won once in the last 6, coming into on back-to-back draws. They played Doncaster 24 times since 2004. 10 wins Doncaster, 9 wins Bradford. There's been 5 draws between the two sides. Last time that these two sides played over at the Keep Moat, it was a 3-1 win for Bradford back in December 2023. The reverse fixture this campaign was a 2-1 win for Doncaster at Vale at Vale Parade. Yeah, Vale Parade, that's right. 2-1 win it was for Doncaster back on October. Doncaster picking up a 3-0 win over Colchester. Back-to-back wins. They look like they've hit form at the rush, just the right time. Bradford on the back of that 3-3 draw away to Chesterfield. The odds for this one, though, Doncaster expect to get the win here, and of course that will put a massive wedge between themselves and Bradford. I'm going with a 2-0 win, and that should just about do it for Doncaster to be back in the League One. Meanwhile, Harrogate Town against Notts County, trying to keep their own playoff dreams intact. Taking on, of course, a Harrogate Town side. Kind of just doing the motions right now as they lock horns. Also on the 26th of April, of course, Harrogate under Simon Weaver, 19th of the table, just one defeat in the last 6. Up against Notts County under Stuart Maynard, winless in the last 4. 6th in the table, 69 points for the season. And they played 6 times, these two sides, in 2019. 3 wins apiece and no draws. Last time around over at Harrogate, it was a 3-1 win way back in December 2023. The reverse fixture this campaign over at Notts County, it was a 1-0 win for the hosts back in October 2024. Notts County, though, losing to Cheltenham last time around. Their last win was a long way, 4 games away. It was a 3-0 win over MK Dons back in April, the start of April. Meanwhile, Fleetwood Town on the back of that 3-1 loss to Harrogate to pick up a win last time around. The odds for this one then, shall we? Harrogate Town are expected to lose. Notts County expected to get the win. I've gone with a 2-1 away win here for Notts County, again, to keep their playoff dreams on the right track heading into the final game of the season. Barrow against Bromley in the Battle of the Bees, that's right, in a bit of a, not a dead rubber, still Bromley have an outside sniff of it. Bromley also in around about mid-table, just 5 points separate these two sides. Barrow and Andrew Wing, they are 14th of the table, unbeaten in the last 5. Up against Bromley under Abdi Woodman, they've won 3 in the last 4, so pretty good form for them at the moment. They played Barrow 11 times since 2015. 2 wins Barrow, 4 wins Bromley. There's been 5 draws between the two sides. Last time around over at Barrow, a 2-0 win for Barrow back in January 2020. That was in the National League. The reverse fixture this season, a 1-1 draw at Bromley. In fact, Barrow are unbeaten against Bromley over the last 4, picking up 2 wins and 2 draws. Bromley, though, on the back of that 1-0 win over Swindon, back-to-back clean sheets for them. Barrow also on the back of 4 clean sheets on the spin, of course, but back-to-back 0-0s coming into this. The odds right here, right now, go with Barrow. They are favoured to win this one, according to the bookies. I've gone with the 1-0 win as well. Another clean sheet, and of course, another big 3-pointer to end the season strong. That's probably the last home game as well. Meanwhile, Cheltenham against Carlisle in the Battle of the Seas. That's right. Coming to at Cheltenham, must-win territory for Mark Hughes. Michael Flynn's boys, 1 Welshman in the dugout up against Mark Hughes, another Welshman in the dugout. They played 26 times since 2003. 9 wins Cheltenham, 11 wins Carlisle. 6 draws between the two sides. Cheltenham are unbeaten in the last 3. They sit 16th right now with 57 points. Up against Carlisle, who are 23rd with 41 points. They've unbeaten in the last 4, pick up 3 wins and 1 draw out of the last 4. Now, the last time they played at Cheltenham was the 1-0 win for Carlisle. That's back in April 2024. Around about this time last season, but guess what? That was in League One, goodness gracious me. The reverse fixture, a 1-0 win for Cheltenham at Carlisle back in October. Cheltenham, 2-1 winners away on the road to Notts County last time around. Carlisle with that 1-1 draw away to Accrington Stanley. The odds for this one then, shall we? Cheltenham are probably expected to win on this one. I'm trying to see it. It is tight, very, very tight. Could go either way. Points not going to be good enough. I'm going to back Hughesy here with a 1-0 win to get over the line, to keep them in it, hopefully to the last game of the season. But it could all end here with Tranmere against Crewe. We'll have a look at that one shortly. Chesterfield up against Morecambe then, shall we? Chesterfield will be playing at least League 2 football. I think they mathematically still got a chance to play League 1 football, but they're up against Morecambe, who will be playing non-league football next season. They're taking place at Chesterfield. Paul Cook's boys are 10th, 64 points for the season, just 1 defeat in the last 6. Up against Morecambe, who've lost 4 on the spin. Rock bottom, they're doomed. No way, no how. 16 times they've played since 2002. 3 wins Chesterfield, 6 wins Morecambe. There's been 7 draws between the two sides. Now, the last time that they played over at Chesterfield was a 2-0 win for Morecambe way back in October 2017. That was in League 2. The reverse fixture at Morecambe this campaign back in October was a 7-goal thriller. Chesterfield coming out on top, 5-2 in the end. Bradford, though, picking up a 3-3 draw against Chesterfield at Chesterfield last time around. Morecambe losing to Salford 3-1 last time around over on Easter Monday. The odds right here, right now. What are we looking at here? We're looking at Chesterfield. They're at home. Bookies back them to win it comfortably. So Morecambe done and dusted. 2-0 winners. The fight is done. And they've been put out their misery. Chesterfield taking the points. Meanwhile, the Gills up against Swindon Town. That's right. Coming at Gillingham. Of course, Gareth Ainsworth's boys are 17th right now. 54 points for the season. They're unbeaten in the last 6. Of course, up against Swindon Town under Ian Holloway, who sit 13th right now. 60 points for the season. Just 1 defeat in the last 5. They played 23 times since 2006. 9 wins Gillingham, 5 wins Swindon. 9 draws between the two sides. Last last time around. Over at Gillingham, it was a 2-2 draw way back in February 2024. The reverse fixture back in October was a 1-1 draw at Swindon. Goodness gracious me. The Gills are actually unbeaten against Swindon over the last 6, picking up 2 wins and 4 draws. Wow, wow, wee, wow. The Gills, though, on the back of that 1-0 over Wimbledon, just 1 goal conceded in the last 3. Swindon on the back of that 1-0 loss to Bromley at home. A dismal last-minute performance there against for Easter Monday. The odds for this one, Gillingham, it's actually even Stevens, couldn't not be separated by the bookies' odds. And I think, yeah, I've also joined it with a 1-1 draw in the end. Point apiece doesn't do anybody any favours in the end. Fleetwood Town, they're up against Newport County coming at Highbury. That's right, Fleetwood under Pete Wild. Winless in the last 4 matches. They sit 15th right now, 57 points for the season, up against Newport County under Nelson Jardem, who are winless in at least the last 6. They are 20th with 49 points for the season and have played Fleetwood 7 times since 2010. 3 wins Fleetwood, 1 win Newport. There's been 3 draws between the two sides. Last time around over at Fleetwood, it was a 4-1 win for the Codders. It was back in December 2011. No, scrap. That was November 2013. The reverse fixture this season in Wales, it was a 0-0 draw back in October. Fleetwood, though, losing to Harrogate most recently. Newport on the back of a 0-0 draw against Walsall. Back-to-back draws, back-to-back 0-0 draws as well for Newport, but they haven't scored a goal in the last 3. The odds for this one, though, Fleetwood expect to win on this one in their own backyard. I've given it to them as well. 2-1 win to try and end the season strongly for Pete Wild's boys. Meanwhile, MK Dons and Paul Warner to Grimsby Town. That's right. Coming at you over at Stadium MK. Of course, Paul Warren's boys on the back of a win. Actually, back-to-back games now without a loss. They sit 18th right now, 50 points for the season up against Grimsby and David Artell, who are 7th and still in those playoffs discussions right now. They are winless, though, in the last 3, just 1 win in the last 5. They played MK Dons 17 times since the year 2000. They've won 5. MK Dons have won 6, and there's been 6 draws between the two sides. Last time around, over at the Stadium MK, it was a 1-1 draw way back in November 2023. The reverse fixture at Grimsby, 3-1 win as it was for MK Dons back in October. Milton Keynes Dons on the back of that 1-0 win over Crewe, back-to-back clean sheets for them. Grimsby on the back of that 2-2 draw away to Port Vale. The odds for this one, though, quite tight again. Grimsby expect to get the win, but I think, and Paul Warren, I think it's going to be something out for here. 2-0 winners, MK Dons, too big, too powerful, and watch them around for next season. They're going to be the real deal then. Salford under Colchester United, taking place over at in the northwest here. Carl Robinson's boys are 9th, 65 points for the season, must-win territory, just 1 defeat in the last 6. Because Colchester, Danny Cowley also must-win territory here, 50% form for them right now, 1-2 lost to and drawn to over the last 6. They played 11 times since 2019, 2 wins Salford, 6 wins Colchester, 3 draws between the two sides. The last time they played at this very venue, a 1-1 draw. That is not what we want for both of these two sides, or either of these two sides, because a win is basically monumental to get themselves, keep them in the discussion for those playoff spots. Colchester on the back of that 3-0 loss to Doncaster to make it back-to-back games without a goal. Salford, though, on the back of that 3-1 away win to Morecambe. Goodness gracious me. The odds on this one, again, quite tight on this one. A draw is not good, but it is favouring Salford for the victory on this one. I've gone with a 1-0 win, the Cowleys, to keep their noses in it going into the final game of the season. And then finally, into the last 2 here, Tranmere against Crewe. Must-win territory for Tranmere to stick around. Andrew Crosby still hanging in there, 22nd in the table, 45 points for the season, but they are winless in the last 3 up against Crewe under Lee Bell, winless in the last 4. Now, they played 29 times since 1997, 13 wins Tranmere, 12 wins Crewe, 4 draws between the two sides. Last time around, over at Tranmere, it was a 0-0 draw. That might be enough, I think, to keep them in the division. A draw or more for Tranmere. We'll showcase that in a minute. Gresty Road was the last time that these two sides played, back in October. 3-1 winner was for Crewe way back when. Crewe, though, on the back of that 1-0 loss to MK Dons, back-to-back games now without a goal for them. Tranmere on the back of that 0-0 draw against Barrow, back-to-back games as well without a goal for them. Coming at you last time around, or the bookies' odds, should we say. Tranmere just about edge it, but it could go either way. A bit of a coin flip. Going with a 1-1 draw, which should, I think, mathematically be enough. We'll showcase you that in just 1 second. As Walsall also try to remain in those automatic spots, or at least contention for those automatic spots. They are 4th right now, taking on Accrington, Stanley side, who are still within that discussion of a relegation mire there. Taking on Walsall and Stanley 8 times they played since 2006. 3 wins Walsall, 4 wins Stanley, 1 draw between the two sides. Walsall, though, haven't won in the last 12 matches. They are the team you want to play in the playoffs because they've got no confidence right now. Stanley, though, unbeaten the last 3. They sit 21st right now, 47 points for the season now. Last time they played at the Bescott was a 2-1 win for Walsall back in February 2024. The reverse fixture this time around round over at Stanley. It was a 0-0 draw back in October. Stanley, though, on the back of that 1-1 draw against Carlisle most recently. They're unbeaten in the last 3. Walsall on the back of back-to-back draws for them, but it's not looking good for them of recent times. Bookies still back Walsall for the victory on this one. I've been backing them as well quite a lot of late, and I'm going to back them once again here against Stanley. Got 2-0 win for Walsall, and if I'm right, with all these coming on in, the calculators will come out, and it will look like this. Doncaster will be promoted. Walsall and Port Vale will go to the wire, the final game of the season. And of course, the playoffs are still on for the likes of Grimsby and Chesterfield. It'll be all over for Salford and going down. It's still on the lines for Carlisle, Tranmere and Accrington Stanley. One of those 3 will go down and join Morecambe in non-league football, non-league obscurity. There you have it, folks. There you bloody have it. Those are, of course, my predictions for match number 45. Make sure you jot yours down below, of course, and, of course, keep on predicting in the prediction league. But until then, subscribe. We'll be back for the final game of the season and then the playoffs. But until then, we're done.